Okay, so this is Rubicon Real Estate, and today we're going to talk about laws of learning. How do people learn? This is very important because I'm going to lead into something else on this. Okay? This is from some research, some psychologists and whatnot did some research on how do we learn. Well, he suggests you have to be ready to learn. You have to have a need for it. Whether you want to make money, you want to get healthy, you have to learn. So you need a need, okay? Our need here is to make money, to make deals, to sell property, to list property, to buy property, to lend money, all these things, okay? The first thing we've got to do is listen. Some people have a lot of trouble with that, okay? That's why you have 2 ears and only one mouth. Okay, we read, we write things down. Oh, thank you. We take notes. Okay, that is very important to take notes. That's why I like when I do a class at college. When I used to do chemistry at UCLA, everybody is writing everything down. Now today, I guess they record what you're saying and then they go home and study it and listen to it. I don't know, but they're still taking notes. You've got to take notes in this life to learn. Verbal means nothing. Verbal, when you hear it, you're going to forget it. But when you hi, how are you? Hi. But when you see it and hear it, then you're probably going to remember. Hey, you are, David.
Thank you.
Okay. Another thing you do is you practice role playing. Now, Michael did this a little while ago with Director Nemo. That's a great way to learn. It really is. You role play. When I was with Reuben Vandal 10,000 years ago, we would always role play. Okay? But that's how you learn. That's how you do it. Like, well, we did it here with Jose, right? We did the listing presentation. We were role playing. That's how you learn. I'm great to role play with. I like to be the seller or the buyer. That will really test you on how prepared you are for objections. Okay? But to learn, you need a comfortable and you need a safe environment. That is essential for learning. You got it like a library. Why is a library so quiet, right? Because it's comfortable, it's quiet, it's easy to learn in a library. How do we alter behavior and achieve our goals? That's the key to this whole thing. And here are your suggestions, your imagination. I like number 2, you act as if it already happened. Okay? That's very good. You know, oh, I wish I could do something. Why don't you act as though it did happen? You'll start moving into the feeling. Okay?
Sure.
Assume the feeling. Okay? Like Eve, for example, let's say she's going to call someone for a listing. Assume you already got it. That's what you got to do. And then you call. It's almost as though you're calling to remind them. It's a very interesting mindset. I know you like that, Paul, right? It is. It's like, it's not a question of, would you please write this down? You say, when are you going to write it down? You see, you've already assumed you're going to write it down. You're not asking, will you write it down? No. When will we write it down? Or you want to make an appointment in real estate. Well, can I come over for an appointment? No, that's not the thing. When is the best time? 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock? You already said you're going to go there, and now when you say 1 or 2, you say it's an alternative of choice. You've already almost closed the question, which is great. So when you think about it, how to say things, it changes the whole picture. It's very exciting to do that. I practiced on my kids constantly. I drove them crazy with this. I'd say, like, Tom, when are you going to cut the grass? No, I didn't say that. I says, Tom, the grass is out there. I guess you'll be doing it this afternoon. I didn't ask him if he would cut the grass. All right? There's a big change there. Attention. Okay? Keep the goal in front of you. Like when I sit there, okay, I'm very focused because I'm here to do real estate. And if I'm not going to do real estate, I'm going to get out. I'm going to go. Okay? And I think this is the right way to do this business today. With the computers, what's going on. You've got to be very, very focused. I think that's why I object a little. People should call me. I tell people, call me before you come in to be sure I'm here. That's the first thing, because I'm running all around. But then, I'm usually engaged in something. And it's hard for me to break the pattern, especially as my mind deteriorates, you know? And now, Mimo mentioned about sleep programming. Falling asleep is very important. I mean, we have trouble sleeping. It's usually related to our diets. If you eat late at night, it's not a good thing. Okay, and I suggested melatonin because I've been taking it for years. I take 1 milligram, which is very little, and it takes about an hour and a half or 2 hours to kick in. So if I know I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock, I take it at 8 o'clock.
1 milligram?
1 milligram. That's all I take. You could take 3, and some people take more, but I take minimum of everything. Okay? And before you fall asleep, you should ask yourself, what do you want? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? This is critical because the mind is getting ready to not, it doesn't shut down. You know, when you're sleeping, the mind is going. Things are happening. So you want to put something good in that brain before it goes to what we call sleep, which is not sleep at all. It's not sleeping. It's working. Okay, so you want to get the right thing in there. So here's where we come to. Learning and doing are two different things. And people don't understand that. And I will give you a little story now. And this is a true story. All my stories are true stories. When I was a research chemist, we had certain problems that nobody could solve. We didn't know what we were going to do. And someone said, oh, I know someone, they're in Russia, and she's a genius. And she is like, she's ready for a Nobel Prize. And I said, well, we got to get her. We need this information. So the company, you can imagine how much money they spent. The company got her to come to our lab. I don't know how much they paid her at the time. I never found out. I was wondering. She came to the lab. Now this is a person who knew. She was like learning. She didn't learn. She learned. She had learned. Okay? That doesn't mean she could do anything, which we found out. So she had learned, and she had these academic credentials that were off the charts. In 1 week of her working in our radiation lab, there was radioactive materials. We had to shut down the entire lab, and almost wound up shutting down the entire building because she couldn't pour water into a glass. If you gave her some water and say, pour this into the glass, you'd spill it all over the place. Now, can you imagine working in a radiation lab and you're spilling things on your shoe and you're walking into the lunchroom with radioactive materials on your... She was a disaster. And I said, get her out of here. And the president says, but Nick, she came from Russia. She's got all these credentials. She can't do a goddamn thing. Get her out. So here's the difference between learning and doing. The only time you should listen to a teacher is when they're also doing it. If there's that phrase, if you cannot do it, teach it. And this is true. All right? So if you get a teacher or a mentor, you got to be sure they're doing it. Because that's the kind of knowledge you want. You want to be able to do it. Okay? So if a person comes in here and says, well, I have a PhD in real estate, and I've studied all around the world, the question is, are they doing it? Do they own property? What do they do in the business? Okay? And are they doing anything? So this is critical. Okay? This is a very critical thing in life. Learning and doing are two different things. And when the person has the knowledge and they're doing it, that person is interesting. Okay? That's the person you want to pay a little more attention to. And I think this is the end of this tape for learning and doing. All right, Nick? Good.